Go to the lines to speak to Michael, who's a Manchester United fan. All right, Michael, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening.
Hello, Michael.
You all right?
Hiya. Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, I think from a football point of view, I want, we had this situation before, and there's been other players. This is a manufacturer deal. There's no way this player is worth over 100 million quid. There's only one player or two players that I can remember who's worth that sort of money. Ronaldo, Messi. This guy is nowhere near that class.
But that's irrelevant.
It's the modern climate. He's a centre forward who scores goals. Yeah. They are in.
They've turned down 110.
So he is worth over 100 million.
But the thing I hate, the fact I feel sorry for Newcastle.
Yeah.
Because they've got the money, they can't spend it. PSR. How is the Premier League meant to be the best league in the world when clubs can't spend their money? They
a Man United fan feeling sorry for Newcastle. A bit patronising it. I feel
sorry.
I'm just saying,
in generally, if we're meant to have the best league, everyone should be able to spend whatever they want. If they got the money, like the Saudis have got the money, they could spend whatever they want. It makes it good for football, doesn't it? You want the best team.
Personally, yes.
Michael, I couldn't agree with you more, honestly, because it's making sure that the top six is even more difficult, virtually impossible, to break into that.
How are Newcastle ever going to challenge for a title consistently if they cannot spend their money? And every time they get in the Champions League, what they are, and they have a player, their star player being touted around by one of the biggest clubs in the world, and he acts like this. I don't know where Newcastle go from here. I don't know how they're ever going to try and challenge.
They've hit the glass ceiling.
But unless they spend the money, unless PSL rules.
Yes, unless they change. They said that the PSL was brought in, obviously, to stop rogue owners, making clubs go to the wall. The Leeds United situation where they spent money they didn't have. Yeah. There's no other business in the world where you would be stopped spending money on your own business. No. But the reason it's happening now is because it ring fences the teams at the top, and you can't spend like your club did, Chelsea did. You can't spend like Man City.
No, it's changed.
But that made, Michael's right, that made the Premier League more competitive. I'm a Gooner, right? I want Gooner obviously to win the title. But for the Premier League, I want 6 or 7 teams to be able to win the Premier League because of the jeopardy it gives you in the season. And that's not going to happen. And Eddie Howe's frustration will be, which he knows, he has taken Newcastle as far as what they can.
It feels like it, doesn't it? It does feel like it.
They'd have to be in the Champions League 6 or 7 years on the trot to get the money in to then be able to go and spend it. Indeed. So they have to look at the PSR rules. And like feeling sorry for Newcastle.
I know what you mean. But yes, there is a certain amount of, if that was Chelsea or Arsenal, you think, why can't we go and spend that money? And Villa are very similar, some kind of position. Let's go back to the lines. Let's go and speak to Scotty, who's a Liverpool fan. All right, Scott.
How you going, guys? You all right?
Hello, Scott.
All right, matey. How are you feeling about the scenario with Isak?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm actually going to side with the players, to be honest, because the clubs are always, I say always, but a lot of the time they're quite happy to move on players without the player wanting to go, right? We're seeing it now with Rasmus Højlund at United. He wants to stay and fight, but United want to sell him. He ain't got a choice, and they'll take a hit on him. We've seen it before with others as well. So for me, it was Andy Carroll when he came to us. He didn't want to leave Newcastle when the whole Torres Carroll thing. He's spoken about it numerous times, Andy Carroll. He had no choice. They wanted the money. So why is it that the players now the one in the wrong? At the end of the day, the clubs will happily get rid of these players. So I don't think it's very fair.
Would you feel the same?
And not to mention, he's going to get 140 million for Newcastle. People might say about Trent and Liverpool fans and what we were saying, he was a local lad and he went on a free. We didn't get any money. Isak's Swedish and he's about to get his club 140 million. A record.
Did you think that Trent did the right thing?
No, I don't.
No, you just contradict yourself.
He gaslighted us fans.
You've just contradicted yourself because you just said that clubs want to get rid of players. They have no choice.
Yep.
So Liverpool will get rid of players that they didn't want anymore. They're surplus to requirements.
We wanted Trent.
Now you're saying, no, but now you're saying that players can do what they want because clubs do it to them. But you're saying because it's your club,
I'm saying players shouldn't get all the blame. I'm saying they shouldn't get all the blame.
Why did you blame Trent Alexander-Arnold then?
Say that again.
Why did you blame Trent Alexander-Arnold? Because his contract ran out?
Because he gaslighted us fans by not coming out saying... He said to us the season before he left that he was going to go to Madrid and all the rest of it, we would have happily accepted that. Don't lead us on, pretend you're going to sign a contract and all the rest of it, then leave on a free.
Well, no.
He's been learning Spanish for 2 years.
Yeah, but
he was learning Spanish for 2
for
years.
him.
So don't come out and say he only made a decision over the summer.
Yeah, but you're contradicting yourself. You're saying that players can do what they want because clubs do what they want to them, but you're saying, but not Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm saying they shouldn't get all the blame. Well,
don't blame Trent Alexander-Arnold then.
We're seeing it now with Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah, but he can stay.
With Andy Carroll.
No, but Rasmus Højlund can stay. If he says, no, I'm going to stay.
Exactly. He doesn't want to go, but United are trying to get him to go, I think, to AC Milan, right? He's already come out saying he doesn't want to go.
But he can stay and fight for his place because he'll have a 3 or 4 year contract.
Well, we don't know that. You don't know that. We don't know that. It looks like they want rid of him. And as I say, the one to go to all this is Andy Carroll. He's spoken about it 3 or 4 times in the last 10, 15 years or whatever it was. He did not want to leave Newcastle. He just bought a house.
Right.
He did not want to leave Newcastle. He was happy to sign a new contract, but Newcastle wanted the money.
Michael, so
he was forced out. He was forced out.
Take a breath. Isak comes to you, right? Yeah. And it's the food chain because Liverpool were further up the food chain. We all know that, right? Which is fair enough. Yeah. So when he's at yours and Real Madrid, like Trent Alexander-Arnold's gone, is above the food chain than Liverpool.
Why is Real Madrid going to come in for Isak? He'll be 29 in 2 years, 3 years. Why are they going to come in for a 29-year-old?
Because they're not bothered about selling him.
Isak's peak years is right now, hence why he wants to go to the best team
Real
in
Madrid
England that's going to win a trophy.
Bothered about sell-ons. They're bothered about 2 or 3 or 4 years, right? So Isak has 2 good seasons for you, right? And you win the title, and he goes, Real Madrid in for me.
Then we win the title, we win the Champions League, and all the rest of it.
I'm going on strike. I don't want to play for Liverpool anymore. You would understand that.
Okay, but you're saying as if I've not seen this before. I've seen it with Mascherano, I've seen it with Coutinho, I've seen it with Sterling, I've seen it with Torres.
So you understand it?
Like you say, it's the food chain. It happens. But what I'm saying is you can't always just blame the player because, as we've seen with other players, when they've wanted to stay and fight for their place, they've had no choice and their clubs have pushed them on. And we're seeing it currently right now, as I said to you. I can't keep going around in circles on it. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, like you say, I agree with you, Perry. There is a food chain. Okay, and obviously Isak knows he's 26. The next 2-3 years, that's his best peak time. That's his career's best, and we're going to have it perfect. If he wants to go to Madrid at 29, good luck to him. But I don't think they'll come in for him at 29 anyway.
I just wonder whether Isak also feels as though is he being priced out of a move? You know, £110 million. You know, what is a player worth? He's worth whatever a club's prepared to pay, right?
Yeah, but also what we've said is that Newcastle can't spend their money, right, for the PSR rules.
Yep.
But they don't need them. They're one of the few clubs in the world that don't need the money. So they could, this power, either, they could dig their heels in and say, we're not going to be dictated to.
When does that work, digging heels in to prove a point?
But Isak, if he stays at Newcastle, he's not going to play.
No. I just wonder whether this is a terrible situation Newcastle found themselves in. But I genuinely feel the only way out of it is to move him on.
The thing is, it's a little bit self-inflicted because he was told he was going to have a new contract. He's only on a training contract. Quite rightly, he wants $200,000 a week. That's what
if they just turned down £110 million, why haven't they given him a contract that replicates that or reflects that in his wages?
Yeah, because they had a sporting director, was it Paul Mitchell, that went in and went, no, he's got 4 years left. Right. We don't have to give you that. Right. So then that's kept in his head. Yeah. But I still think, I disagree with Michael completely, there's still a way that you can conduct yourself.
No, of course, but I still think, but Michael does have a point about, you know, you can control your own destiny. If a club wants you out, they can ostracise you.
Right, yeah, but he turned against Trent Alexander-Arnold.
No, of course, that's where you're right. He's a hypocrite.
Himself.
That's where he is a hypocrite.
Exactly.
You know, I agree with that. Let's go and speak to James, who is a Newcastle fan. All right, Jimbo. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. First time calling straight through.
Oh, excellent stuff. Maybe it's your lucky day.
Well, all I wanted to say was around the Isak situation. It's a terrible one for Newcastle. But I do think at this point, I agree with what you said. We need to start thinking about conceding. I mean, at this point, it's making us look equally as embarrassing as the situation itself. We had a good offer on the table. We could have taken it. We could have used it wisely. Isak has clearly made his bed very clear. I think Newcastle are stuck between a rock and a hard place in this situation because I get they're trying to make a point of not being the club that bends over for the players' requests by throwing the toys out of the pram a bit. But at the same time, we are doing it in a way that's not conducting ourselves in a good light at all, if I'm being honest.
Do you think, let me ask you this then, James, because I think that offer's on the table, right? Then Liverpool apparently have said, look, we're not going to make an improved offer. Newcastle in that time were probably trying to say, right, if we can get someone in, we can negotiate with Liverpool. But the problem you've had, you've not been in that position where someone has filled potentially the boots that Isak's going to leave. And
and I agree, and I think that's double-folding what I'm saying, which is we clearly have got some internal issues, and I don't think that as many callers as call in, as many times we speak about it, I don't think we know half the truth of what's going on inside Newcastle at the moment. I think there's bigger issues at board level where we are not in a position to have talks with players that want bright futures, and clearly the conversations aren't painting a good picture, aren't making people want to join us. I'm a level-headed Newcastle fan. I mean, I haven't got the accent to back it up, but look, I appreciate the fact that we've come away from being a regular relegation battle team. I'm happy with where we are. I don't think we're going to be pushing for Premier League titles anytime soon. I don't think we're going to be pushing for Champions League football trophies anytime soon. But to see us where we are now, I'm really proud. And I think fans should remember where we've come from.
James, did the thing not worry you, though, with your manager, Eddie Howe, that his frustration is, I've taken Newcastle as far as I can take them? Because he knows that, as you said there, you can't attract the players. And the problem you have now as well with Isak is you need to get a centre-forward in before he goes. If you're going to do it, you've got to do it very quickly. But then if you get a centre-forward in before he's going to be sold, Liverpool then sit there and go, actually, you've got to sell him. We don't need to increase that £110 million offer. So it's a very, very difficult situation that the club's in.
It is a very difficult situation, but if we're not careful, I think the situation is only going to ostracise the price further. And in fact, we've got a situation where if we end up stuck with him for a year in this situation, I don't see his value going up.
No, and also, I tell you what, the best for everyone, and it's going to be hard for Newcastle fans to take, is to move him on. And you're right.
I wholeheartly agree.
I think that, and there has to be a moment where everyone sits around the table and says, right, let's resolve this. Because can you imagine that, when that window shuts, if Alexander Isak is a Newcastle player, that 6 months going into January is going to be hell for Newcastle. It's going to be murder for Eddie Howe. Because actually, you think about it, the transfer window opens on the 1st of Jan. Around about 6-7 weeks' time, the conversation starts again because we start creeping into November. And all of a sudden, the window's open in 2 months. And that, I just feel, if you can cut the umbilical cord now, separate now, do the best for both. It'd be the best for Newcastle, it's the best for Isak, and the best for Liverpool. And I think everyone just needs to bang their heads together.
But also, though,
I agree.
If Newcastle dig their heels in because the owners don't need the money and they don't want to be told what to do, right? If Isak...
They bite the nose off to spite.
No, but if Isak comes
what's
back...
What's the good of that, though? Where's Isak going to get them, Perry?
If Isak comes back, and I said before, if he scores 3 goals, first 3 games, 4 goals, Newcastle fans won't be happy at first. Then they'll be okay. And Eddie Howe would think, I'll deal with that again in January. I just think it'd be a cloud. I don't know. I don't know what that. Yeah. I don't know how we see the best of Isak, and it won't take that long for Newcastle fans. What if he doesn't score? What if 3 games in he ain't scored? Well, then he'll get the stick that he deserves.
Yeah, fine. But then how does anyone win from Newcastle perspective?
Yeah, but Isak if he comes back, right, and he doesn't go, he's not going to sulk and say, I ain't playing, because he needs to keep his stock high. So he still needs to keep scoring goals.
I'm not saying he doesn't, but I just feel as though that, I don't know. I just think now is the time to do it. The window, what have we done? 19 days left? Come on, 19 days, less than 3 weeks now. Get this deal done somehow.
You sounded like Jimmy James and the Vagabonds there. Now is the time to get things right.
Get it done. Get it moving on. What do you think, Newcastle fans and Liverpool fans? 03717223344. You are listening to the Sports Bar here. We're talkSPORT Bet. I don't know, the new talkSPORT betting app today. 18 plus to be gambleaware.org.
The Sports Bar with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy. Monday to Thursday nights from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.